Hey there, my name is Dostar, and today I'd like to talk about DMT! For some reason, I've always said it like that. DMT! Now, my recommendation is that by a minimum, this is the minimum recommendation, you listen to 100 hours of Terence McKenna talks. Along with that, you should listen to a minimum of 100 hours of Alan Watts talks. Now, if you've done that, that's great, that's a good start. You should also listen to 100 different accounts of DMT trip reports. And if you've done that, then that's good. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Now we're seeing where you're at, right? We can see right now when I say that, where you're at. I can see where you're at. Can you see where you're at? Now, the thing that doesn't get said about DMT is the significance of the fact that it occurs naturally in your brain. Now, many people talk about the fact that it occurs naturally within your brain. That's great. But the significance of that is what I'd like to point out right now. And the significance is that you can have a DMT trip without smoking that angel dust, without the chemical as a kind of aid. Now, if you want to try the chemical, that's great. If that's what you're at, if that's what your path calls upon you, if that's what you need, I have no judgments. I have many caveats. I have many disclaimers. This is not advice. I do not condone such actions. But if that's what you need, then you go ahead and that's your next step on the path of experience. But if you want to take a different path, or if you've gone beyond that path and you need to integrate the truths that you've found, if you need to explore things in a new way, in a fresh way, in a solid way, in a way that allows you to integrate it into your daily life, into the rest of your life, then you can follow this path right here that I've got for you. You can follow what we're talking about right here, which is that chemicals are great. But there's another step. There's another thing beyond that, which is learning to do it for yourself, which is working with your every day-to-day normal consciousness. When you're a novice on the spiritual path, you work with peak experiences. You work with the highs. You work with those things that are nebulous, which are off beyond the clouds, those things that are infinite, those things that are larger than reality, God, omnipresence, benevolence, infinite love, expansive experience, all that stuff. And that's great. I love that stuff. It's amazing. It's been an absolutely glorious path that we've been on. But now we go somewhere else. Now we go into something deeper. This is the real stuff. Now we start with the low points of the path. And notice your reaction. Notice how it feels for me to say that to you. We work with the low points. We work with what's boring, with what's bland, with what's normal, with what's not sexy, with what doesn't feel good. Notice your reaction. Notice what's happening in you, whether you want to run away. And let me tell you that these states of consciousness that you achieve through DMT have a secret way into them through normal waking state. When you work with yourself and you work on what it is that's having the experience, how it is that you perceive, the mechanics of perception, of feeling, of being in a place, of being in time, then you start to open to these same realms. And it is absolutely shocking. In many ways, it's more shocking than DMT. To have a DMT or a psychedelic experience without the use of chemicals, it's more shocking, because when you do something with a chemical and it shocks you, then you can always come back to this thing of saying, oh, it was just the chemical. Oh, it was because that thing happened. It was because of this thing. And opening to alternative forms of reality, psychedelic realms of consciousness, in a natural, open way, that's more risky because you can't exactly know what it is that did it. It's not exactly your work, right? And it might be that you've been operating under this thing of, oh, if I just do this, then I get this result. If I just do this work, if I just meditate, or I just read this book, or I just go to this seminar, or I just enroll in this online course, then this will happen. And you'll notice that that doesn't entirely work. That can only take you so far. Now, of course, that's great. If that's where you're at, you need to do that. It's a very important step on the path of progress that we're working with. But to go beyond that is to realize that these things happen to you in more ways than you can understand, in more ways than you can know. And it's very scary when it happens. It's very scary. Now, with all that in mind, and with that understanding, and with a few of those points that I hope have connected with you, I'd like to tell you about my new online course. Now, this course is called Time Travel, or it's on time travel. So you learn time travel. And this works directly with the DMT state. We go into visualizations, concepts, perceptions, mechanics that work directly with your dream state. So there's a chapter on active imagination. There's a chapter on the age and time and place that you're in. There's a chapter on non-location experiencing. There's a chapter on lucid dreaming methods and working with DMT, time, perception and feelings and states, right? So we go into this and we break it apart. We work out all the mechanics, and then you start to figure it out for yourself so that you can up and run with it, right? A teacher can only give you the first few steps on a journey of 1,000,000 steps. Right? And a good teacher will give you those first few steps in such a way that you can then run with it and continue on up through and into the stratosphere and beyond. A lot of teachers don't do that. A lot of teachers give you a few steps and then you have to come back for more. They give you a few little things, but then you're sort of lost and you're not on the trajectory. That's different. My course, this time travel course, gives you the tools you need in order to up and run with it for yourself. And when you understand the vastness of human experience, you can see that that's a very logical approach, right? I can't guide you through every single experience you've ever had. You've had more experience than you could ever possibly fathom. Can you even grasp how many people you've spoken to in your life, how many situations you've been in, how many feelings you've had, how many times you've changed, how many times you've been shocked, how many times you've hit rock bottom, how many times you've had a good high? There's no telling the vastness of human experience. So enroll in my course, follow the link in this description. It's a course on time travel. You can see the free preview video. Otherwise, click the link and enroll today.